There are three specific reasons why John Arthur opposes Peter Singer's reform and believes that the greater moral evil rule is not a practical moral rule for our moral code in our society. The first reason that he gives is in the second column on page 671, and he basically states that as humans, we are not altruistic enough, okay? We simply are not willing to donate large portions of our paycheck to people in other parts of the world, even if it would benefit them greatly. We might understand John Arthur here is saying that the greater moral evil rule is essentially asking people to go against their human nature, to do something that we're not actually capable of, right? Again, he says people simply will not do it. We aren't that altruistic. So that's one reason why the greater moral evil rule is not practical and then therefore does not fulfill the general purpose of our moral code. People simply will not be willing to follow this rule. Maybe it just asks too much of us. The second reason why the greater moral evil rule is not practical is because it defeats the motivation to work. As I said earlier in the presentation, the primary factor for most people in terms of why they go to work in the first place is the paycheck that they're going to get as a result of working. If you knew ahead of time that a portion of your check was due to an aid organization, right? A portion of your check beyond taxes, beyond what's already deducted for taxes. If a portion of your check, and you knew ahead of time that a portion of your check was due to some other aid organization, and that money was going to be given to strangers in another part of the world whom you do not know, would you work as hard and as long and as effectively if you knew that a large portion of that paycheck was not coming to you but was going somewhere else? John Arthur questions whether you would still be motivated to work as hard. And ultimately, that would be detrimental to our society if the populace was not as motivated to work. Right now, in our entitlements-based system, people are very motivated to work because they're entitled to their money at the end of the process. So that's the second reason why the greater moral evil rule is not practical. The third reason why this rule is not practical is essentially, according to John Arthur, because people are not knowledgeable enough and they are not unbiased enough. That is to say that we as human beings have limited knowledge about what good our money can do in the world. And moreover, we have limited knowledge of where our money is going once we donate it, okay? We have limited knowledge in regards to the consequences of our actions. And so we cannot be expected to get it right every single time, okay? We have limited knowledge, and therefore our predictions of the consequences of our actions are limited as well, and you cannot expect a perfect predictor of the future in terms of the consequences of our actions. Moreover, people are very biased, and that is part of our nature. Again, here, I think John Arthur is essentially saying that a fundamental aspect of human nature is selfishness. And this might remind you of a way of social contract theory, in addition to a few of the other things that John Arthur has said in his essay. Remember, social contract theory accepts the idea that humans are naturally selfish. But if that's the case, at least for John Arthur, the greater moral evil rule is not practical, because really the greater moral evil rule requires that we be unselfish and altruistic. And again, that might just be asking humans to do something that we're not capable of. So those are the three reasons why, according to John Arthur, Peter Singer's greater moral evil rule and his reform of our moral code is not practical, it won't work, and therefore it does not fulfill the general purpose of our moral code, and therefore ultimately we should not reform our moral code in Peter Singer's way. It simply will not work.